Ermanni, University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards, and of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network, Woodward Sports.
Welcome to Ermanni Edwards on Woodward Sports Network with Maz, might I add you. Got my man Anson Wills filling in today. Anson, technically, you're not filling in today. This is your day. What's going on, big guy?
I am so happy today. I can't even explain it. I'm so happy because the NBA goes back on TV tonight, baby.
Okay. I like that as well as we introduce KG in the sound booth.
NBA's playing.
Also, P. Spivak in the TD booth. Neither one of these individuals feel that up to speed, but guess what they did? They came in for work. They came in because of you. So, me, myself, Tom Mazaway, Anson Wells, we will provide the energy. Let's start off with this, Tom, as I bring you into it. The election's in. We know what it is. Number 47, Donald Trump. Donald Trump back in the office, the second president to serve a non-consecutive term. I want to say Rutherford or Harrison.
Grover Cleveland,
there you go.
Who had a hot wife, by the way.
They all, of course, man. I would assume. Donald Trump back in the office. I'll start and say this. Look, at the end of the day, we are all Americans. We are all praying for this country, which means I'm praying for Donald Trump. I want him to have the best presidency he can have so that we become the best nation that we can be. It's over. It's done. I'm glad. I'm glad we're moving forward.
Thank God. I'll have to
At
see
the end
those
of the day,
commercials
whoever is
anymore.
in office doesn't have to change who you are. If you want to do good acts, if you want to do kind acts, if you want to do a good person, you're going to be that person. It doesn't matter who's in office. It's not a reflection of the president. It's a reflection of yourself. So I'm good with it. I'm cool. Here we are. And rock
I've
and roll.
always been me.
You have, KG, P. Spivak, Anson Wells. We're good with that?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
absolutely, man. We're all here. We're all healthy, and we've been blessed with yet another beautiful day in the middle of November. It's wild.
I'm not going to lie, Anson. I'm glad you said that. Time when I woke up, went to the gym, walked outside. It's a beautiful day.
Frances Cleveland is solid, by the way. She is a solid Michigan
Hey,
8.
did you go look at the smoke show?
I had to. Frances Cleveland is a Michigan 8.
Now,
It's
first
legit.
of all,
Book it.
what
She
scale
liked
are
to
we
go by
rating her
Franny,
on?
by the way.
'Cause
Well, we're not rating her on the Vegas scale.
Okay.
Because she'd be lucky to come in at a Vegas 6.
The housewife.
She's a Macomb County 8.5. She's a
Okay.
Birmingham
Macomb
7.5. You know,
There you go. What's Melania?
Melania's a Michigan 9.5 for sure.
right.
She's a Vegas 8.5, 8 maybe, and she's a Michigan 9 all day long. Maybe
What's-
9.5.
what's
I mean, we don't
what's
know what she
Ivanka?
looked like when she was young. She was probably Michigan 10. I've
Hey.
never really seen the photos.
Now, Trump did promise one
defines
See
thing.
what happens? Trump's in office. We already rating
Hey.
people's wives. And so it starts. And so it starts.
Yeah.
And so
It's gonna
it
be
starts.
entertaining 4 years.
It's gonna be
I tell you
entertaining
that.
4 years. and I love
KG
it.
feeling that.
Trump promised that lower prices on sports tickets. So I'm all in on that.
Yep.
Don't lower those prices.
Cheese at McDonald's too.
Let's go. Go after Ticketmaster.
Listen, I'll be honest. The thing that I am most excited about today is RFK making America healthy again. Okay? We have stuff in our food that is not allowed in the majority of the countries in the world, and we have fluoride in our water. And they want to change that on day one. And that's something that everybody in this country should be happy to see change.
Now, you know Fruit Loops. He spoke about Fruit Loops, which is one of my
Fruit
favorite
Loops are
cereals.
Kellogg's or General
One of my
Mills?
favorite cereals.
General Mills or Kellogg's?
That's Kellogg's.
Stay away from everything post, guys.
Now he
Post is
said
the other one.
we have like 18 ingredients in our Fruit Loops. Canada's got 2. So I want the Canadian Fruit Loops here, so I can feel better about eating the Fruit Loops.
You know, what are the two big chicken spots? I mean, obviously they're not Soroki's, which has amazing
Right.
natural chicken, but the two
Hey, by the
fast
way,
food chickens.
7 new signature wings out
Oh,
Soroki's.
they're
I'm just
amazing.
throwing it out there.
And those crispy biscuits,
I'll
baby.
get them.
I'm just throwing it out.
But the
Professionals,
fast food
bro.
chains, the two top ones, I'm not going to mention by name,
Yeah.
but they have one has over 30 man-made chemicals that are addictive in their chicken, and the other has over 40. We're going to see this stuff. We're going to see the poisoning of our people come to a close, I believe.
That's good.
You
I
know,
hope-
you know what the number 2 fast food chain is? They're not even what you would think of as a fast food chain. It's like McDonald's is always going to be number
I gotta
1.
guess.
We know what it is. It used
Taco
to
Bell?
Taco Bell and this other one went back and forth, but it's neither one of them.
I hope so, because that's my favorite. Pete dropping the big W with the red hair.
It's not Wendy's, although I love their promotions online and I love their back and forth.
And
What
then
is-
You
spicy
said it's
chicken.
fast food that doesn't seem like fast
Ah,
food. That's
there
why I'm
you-
trying to think outside the box.
It's really not fast food if you think about it. It's Starbucks.
Okay.
Starbucks is number 2 behind McDonald's, followed by
Starbucks is a
Subway and
sugar
Taco Bell.
factory.
Yeah,
Starbucks is a sugar
Starbucks
factory.
Yes,
But
it
they
is.
count as a store.
Yeah.
So that when you look at it count as a store, obviously we know who makes the most money. It's McDonald's because they own all of the real estate, making them the number one
about
real estate company in the world. McDowell's, rest in peace to John Amos, who played Cleo
Look at the
McDowell.
big brain on Braylon. Like,
You
where
know,
did you go to college,
I'm
dog?
rocking and rolling today.
Where'd you go to school?
You wouldn't know by this jacket that I'm
I
wearing.
look so
and that's
good
why
on
you set me up.
We've been talking about how good green looks on you all year, haven't we?
Green is a great herb tone. It's a fire, and it's a fall fashion
I got
color.
a question that I think the chat needs to hear the answer to. When did you find green as a color that could be worn? At what-
34. Hey, no, that rivalry is serious. Like, I didn't wear red the whole time I was in college. The whole time I went to the NFL.
You probably look good in
green.
red, too.
I wouldn't wear any of it. Even when I played for the Jets, I was wearing green and white in Florham Park,
Yeah,
which
we-
is what we practice at.
Braylon and I and Stick were having this conversation, and honestly,
Shout out to Stick, Sam Day.
I gotta say, I have so much respect for that, man.
You know what? I
really do.
appreciate that. You know what I have a lot of respect for? Got a lot of respect for Brad Holmes. Yesterday, 4 o'clock, trade deadline ends. The Detroit Lions, they made the move that many feel will catapult them into the Super Bowl or be the favorites to the Super Bowl, and bringing in defensive end Za'Darius Smith, who plays in the pass as well as the run, a strong defensive end to set that edge. Just seems like the guy. And as Pete showed you, they did not give up much to get Za'Darius Smith here. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, KG. What are your quick thoughts? And I know you're feeling down. I want to get your quick thoughts on Za'Darius Smith, and then we'll rock and roll.
No, this is a move that had to be made. Just plain and simple. If you really want to have a chance to bring that trophy back, this was a move that Brad Holmes had to go out and make. And I'm happy at the compensation. They only gave up a 5th-round pick in the next year's 6th. That's really nothing. You got a 7th back somehow, so I was happy about that. And I thought about next year. That was really my first thought, because Aiden's going to come back, and then you're going to have your bookend edge rusher finally. I think that in combination with Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader going forward, that could be one of the best defensive lines in the league. But, of course, this is going to help you this year. Hopefully Josh Pascal can come back and contribute. But ultimately, the Lions going to keep rolling, man. This team they built for this. They ready for the moment, and hopefully without injuries, they can complete the season and get ready for the playoffs.
Today is a Wednesday, so you know what we have on. We have Dan Miller, Fox is on. Can't wait to talk to him about it. But before we do that, here's Dan Campbell with Dan Miller talking about the acquisition of Za'Darius Smith.
Coach, Za'Darius Smith, what does he bring to the team?
Yeah, look, man, it's good to get him here. He brings an element of toughness. Smart football player, can set an edge, can get an edge and rush, close the pocket down. He's just a really good complementary piece that I think is going to work well with our guys.
I know it's a crash course in the playbook, so I worked one up for him here. Does this work if you just give him that?
See, quarterback, hit quarterback. Yeah, I like that.
You like that?
That'll work.
I mean, that's what he does, though. He
Yes,
can
he does.
provide some help in that area, right?
Yes, he does. He provides really a lot, man. I feel like this guy's a total defensive end, and certainly he can get to the quarterback.
Coach, Za'Darius Smith, what does he bring to the team?
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah,
This is why I love Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell because what he made sure to let you guys know, made sure to let the team, the city, and everybody else know, he is a complementary piece that is going to work well with the team. It's all about the TEAM here. It's the team, and I ain't talking about Ann Arbor. I'm talking about Allen Park. That's what he let everybody know, and that's what he's consistent. Dan Campbell continues to do a great job, but you got your guy, Tom Mazaway, and Za'Darius Smith, and I think he'll fit well.
No doubt, man. I don't think Brad Holmes would have traded for him unless they did their homework on him. And I'm not sure, probably it wouldn't happen that they were allowed. Are they allowed to actually talk to him probably before they do a deal? Probably not, right?
No,
That's
like,
tampering.
When you're doing it during the season and before the trade deadline, it's only coaches and or teams, the teams and the agents.
Exactly.
It's teams and the agents, teams in the front office.
What
That's
about
the only
players?
people. Nah. To let you guys know, when I got traded in 2009 to the Jets from the Browns, I didn't find out about it until the day Eric Mangini called me into the office Wednesday at 7 a.m. and told me, hey, Braylon, want to let you know that we moved you to and he said move too. He didn't even say trade. We moved you to the New York Jets. So my agent didn't tell me. My agent told my mom. My agent told my mom. But they don't talk to the players, because you don't want to get them. I think it is illegal to
But what
talk
about players
to the player.
talking to other players? I'm curious.
Yeah, players talk to other players. Players
yeah.
will want you here because I used to want to go to the Giants. Yeah, Reuben Jones, who I played with in Cleveland, was with the Giants the year they won the Super Bowl, and so I wanted to. So I was like, hey, you talk to Jerry Reese. Remember Jerry? I know you know. I'm like, yo, tell Jerry Reese. I'm trying to get there. Jerry Reese was a brother. I feel like it was a little in and out, but we don't talk to the team. We don't talk to the coaches. It's all team, agent. If you
I'm
will.
sure they talked to. I'm sure Aaron Glenn talked to his defense and said, hey. Even Dan Campbell, hey, we're thinking of bringing this guy in. Any thoughts on him? I'm sure they did that. Maybe on the sneak, but I'm sure they did their homework. They're not just going to bring any guy in. They're just not. And I believe that Za'Darius Smith will fit in here excellent. Last week alone, he had 9 pressures and a sack, a couple tackles. He's a captain of the Browns. The only thing is, he's been on 4 teams. This is his 5th team now, and he's not that old. How old is Za'Darius Smith?
32.
32?
Yep.
32,
All right.
yeah.
5
32.
teams, and okay, that's about 10 years of playing.
Yep.
All right.
And 5 great years of service.
And
if you
2
will.
years in the NFC Central, which is the North now. Played for the Vikings, played for the Packers, now he plays for the Lions. So he knows the division, and he even said it back in when someone asked him about it weeks ago. He said, "Oh yeah, that would be a great spot for me. I get to play against the Vikings, get to play against the Packers twice a year. I'll sign me up for that." And the Bears, we still owe them 2 visits.
Before I talk about how Z fits in on this Detroit Lion team, I want to backtrack just a little bit and talk about modus operandi, the MO of Brad and Dan. And I'm saying this because we went through the same thing last year at the trade deadline, and everyone lost their stuff. We saw it in the offseason, wanting more trades. We saw it ad nauseum this last time. Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, these pipe dreams. At no point in their MO have we seen their desire to trade high-end draft picks. They are willing to wait teams out-leverage them, and get to a point where you get a trade like this where you give up a 5th or 6th, get a 7th round back, and you make them pay for him this year. Now, beyond that, and again, please, in the future, guys, just understand who these guys are. These crazy, crazy trades, they don't work out for most teams, and they certainly aren't going to be happening here in Detroit. However, Z is not replacing Hutch as much as everyone in Detroit would like to see that happen. He is replacing Marcus Davenport. He is an upgrade on Marcus Davenport, because the fact is, Hutchinson is not replaceable unless you give up 2 to 3 years worth of your capital. But beyond his physical play, which is really going to be welcome, it's going to allow Pascal to kind of be a freelance guy and try and do his best imitation of Hutch when he's healthy. But as you mentioned yesterday, this guy has been on 4 different teams, overshadowed by a premier defensive end, which didn't allow him to really show, didn't allow him to get paid, and didn't allow him to get appreciated. So this guy is going to his 5th team at a decently young age, not crazy old, but he's coming here pissed off. Yeah. And you could say that maybe this guy isn't a good culture fit for many teams, and that's why he moved around a whole bunch of times, but it really feels kind of like when Rashid came to the Pistons. This is a guy that's looking for a home and looking to show out.
Hey, you're on fire right now.
Well, I appreciate
you cooking with some grease right now.
I really love this move. I love that we didn't give up much. I love that they waited and they didn't overpay. My question for you guys and everybody in the chat, he's got 5 sacks. How many does he end up with? What's your over-under? I'll put it at 11.5.
Here, let's start this. Hey, Pete, you put that in the chat for us, and we'll all comment on it. I think Tom Wesley wanted to weigh in on the same conversation. Anson, you're cooking, by the way.
I want to put a pause on his because I definitely want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I want to say this. If I'm the other teams in the NFC, teams that think they can get to the Super Bowl,
yikes,
I would not have allowed the Lions to get this guy so cheap. I would have, even if I was the Packers, and I know he was a Packer before. Yeah. I don't know if he burned a bridge there, Minnesota. I don't know if he burned a bridge there, but I wouldn't allow this guy to walk to the best team in the NFC and make them even better. The Rams, 49ers, and Seattle. I'm not saying that they need Za'Darius Smith. I'm sure everyone could use a guy like him, even in a depth position. But I'm surprised that they got him when everyone knew what they needed. And they give up a 5th and a 6th for him to get a 7th. And the 5th and the 6th are in 2 different years, by the way.
Yeah,
and you got one of the better pass rushers in the game.
5s and 5, 6s and 6.
Yep. It boggles my mind that the Yankees. See, I grew up with the Yankees, Red Sox. They hate each other. They would never allow the other team to one-up them. The Yankees, A-Rod was going to be a Red Sox. Yankees said, we'll give you X amount more money to come here. And it worked. I'm just saying. And eventually the Red Sox caught up.
Here's what it reminds me of, and tell me if I'm wrong, all right? And because it's funny, I was going to use the same team, the same Super Bowl, but I was going to use the wrong player. You know what this reminds me of? Odell Beckham from Cleveland, same team, to the Rams. Because Green Bay knew what was going on.
We were talking about it.
We did. Green Bay knew that this was an opportunity. You knew this was a squad that compete against what you were doing. So did the 49ers. When Brandon Ayuk was young. So there was no money involved in Brandon Ayuk. They made the move. Nobody stopped the move. They get the move. And you can say what you want to about Odell Beckham, but what you cannot say is that he not directly affect
what the
Rams
Super Bowl.
did. Time miles away. This what that move feels like. It feels like a guy that you know can play. And that other teams knew if you got him with that system, this could be a really big move for him. And you may end up playing from behind. Nobody stopped it. The Lions got it, so the Rams. The Rams got a Super Bowl out of it. What happens with the Detroit Lions becomes the next question.
Remember this. It only takes one game to change a whole season.
That's right.
Now, Za'Darius Smith is a wash in the regular season, and he has 5 sacks in the playoffs.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
You know, in fantasy football, I'm a big fan of defensive trades, no pun intended. When you know a guy is out of it and is trying to move somebody, and you got 2 guys you're competing with, one of you 3 is going to end up with that player. And like you said, with the Packers and the Vikings being right there in the division, maybe not with us, but in the division to be able to make it to the playoffs, you knew for 3 weeks that it would cost a 4th-round draft pick to get this guy, and none of them were willing to pay to get him, as well as block the Lions from adding a piece that we were desperate to get. So it's a defensive trade times 2 that nobody was willing to do, and by not willing to do that, it gave us time to wait out the Cleveland Browns and get a better trade and have them pay for him.
You know, the interesting thing about this whole situation is, we've wondered, what do the players think about Za'Darius Smith? What do the current Lions players think about the move, the potential move? Is this a good move? Is this going to be a move that helps the chemistry and the energy that we already had? Well, here's Amon-Ra St. Brown and his brother Ermanni on their podcast talking about Za'Darius Smith.
I seen you guys got Za'Darius Smith. How do you feel about that? I mean, shoot, you play with him. You tell me. I'm excited. He's a dog. I ain't gonna lie. He's a dog. Like, I've seen him blow up. Like in Green Bay, we used to move him inside too, and he used to blow up just anybody. Just double team. I seen him in practice. We tried to double team him, guard center maybe. He just blew the whole shit open. Just fucked the whole play up. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. He has dope ass. He's a lit dude, good dude too. Good teammate, great celebrations too after sacks.
Oh yeah, we're gonna bring the celebrations up too.
Yeah. No, he's lit. He's a good player and he's lit. That's good. That's gonna be good for you guys. I like him a lot actually.
And we appreciate that. Shout out to the St. Brown podcast. 2 great individuals, like I always talk about, had the opportunity to meet Amon-Ra St. Brown. Can't say enough good things about him off the field and on the field. First thing Ermanni says, dog. Every compliment or everything that we've heard out of any teammate of Za'Darius Smith or now former teammate of Za'Darius Smith, it's just been glowing reviews, rave reviews. A lot of times you can weed through the BS. We've seen teammates talk about a player. You're like, he lying. That's not true. Every time I hear something more about Za'Darius Smith, I'm just more and more excited about what this can be, because I'm not looking at it like an Odell Smith in the potential for finality. I'm looking at this could be his last stop.
I mean, you guys know I've been calling Za'Darius Smith's name for 3 weeks while everybody was stuck on Max. This guy, everything that I have read, echoes your sentiments. The guy's a dog. The guy's a gamer. But he's got a chip on his shoulder, and we know that Dan and Brad aren't just bringing in anybody into this, again, very well-established culture. They knew what they were getting, not just in terms of play on the field, but in terms of who this human being is. And again, I think this guy is going to fit in like Rashid did in 04, baby.
I hope he brings the same thing to Detroit.
Yes, sir. Let's get that
Rashid
ring, baby.
did. And I want to say this. Shashank on the chat reminded me of this. The freaking Chiefs went out and got D-Hop. And then they got Uche as well. How do you let the freaking Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins? How do you allow that?
I think a lot of times with the Chiefs kind of operate like the Lions do, but from a different standpoint. Let me make it make sense. Frank Clark got into trouble in college Frank Clark, when he was in Michigan, he got into trouble, and it wasn't necessarily the way that they portrayed it to be. That's why he didn't go first round. That's why it didn't happen like that. That's why some people had some raised eyebrows about him. So I think when you look at it again, fast forward to when Seattle may want to move him and the Chiefs got him, a lot of people were still in that same mindset. Oh, this is Frank Clark from Michigan. We know that he has this going on. We don't need that guy on our team. The Chiefs said, BS. BS. You talk to people. People are scared to talk to people, to find out the real story, actually to even believe there may be a true story or a different side. Same thing with what the Chiefs did with DeAndre Hopkins. How many people have said we didn't get D-Hop because of what? Because of things we heard, or there may be some things there, or maybe some locker room situations, or maybe everything isn't. People, when they hear things, they don't do their due diligence. And I think the Chiefs are a team that does their due diligence, and that's why they go and get players that you're like, how did he get there? That's because a lot of people didn't want to make the move because one person said this is not the move to make.
I think that Nuke, when he signed with the
Scared
Titans,
money don't make money.
Look at Kareem Hunt. This is another move. Would you get Kareem Hunt after the infamous
and if you're the Browns,
situation?
when he's been running well for you and you know you're not going to have Chubb for like 8, 9, 10 weeks, I don't know why you wouldn't even just bring him in on a very small contract.
Because they knew the quarterback was trash.
But Nuke went over and signed with the Titans. Knew they had a rookie quarterback. I imagine that when he came in there and said, listen, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to want to be moved. And I'm sure that when this trade deadline came around and Levis wasn't working out, he probably gave them a very short list of teams he'd be willing to go to. I don't think the Lions were calling. I don't think there's probably the top teams weren't calling. Maybe the Bills did. Maybe he didn't want to go there. But you look at their commitment to the wide receiver position in this offseason. You trade for Marquise Hollywood Brown. You sign or you draft an Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
You got a prime second-year Rashee Rice. And now all of a sudden you lose two of those guys. Then you lose Juju, the guy that you signed. So we knew that these guys needed to make a move on defense, and that's why we saw the Uche move. But they were forced into having to get D-Hop, and I'm sure that D-Hop sat down with the Titans and said, listen, I'm only going to these places.
Yeah.
I need a ring.
Yep.
I signed here for a reason. It didn't work out, so do me a solid in return.
Agreed. You got it. You're hot today, like Braylon said.
Yeah.
You're on it.
The sun is out, baby.
I have no arguing against you. In fact, let's switch this topic, but keep it somewhat similar. Trade deadline is done. Let's talk about who had the best moves at the trade deadline. Here's who had the best deal. This is from the 33rd team, and we love ourselves some Ari Mayroff over here. We talked about KC and DeAndre Hopkins. The Washington Commanders, they got Marshawn Lattimore, who's nursing a hamstring, but will come back. The Detroit Lions got you-know-who, Z, as we will call him, but I'm sure his nickname will become ZD. Buffalo Bills, Amari Cooper scored a touchdown in the first game that he played. Deontay Johnson, now wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. If there's any other ones, let us know in the chat. Khalil Herbert goes to the Bengals. Jonathan Mingo, I had him on my fantasy a couple times.
Traded a 4th-round pick for him.
Never finished higher than 4th on his own team in college.
How about that?
Yeah, it's
a 4th-round pick the Cowboys gave up for him.
But which goes to show you what Anson and I have legitimately been lockstep on.
No doubt, baby.
The Cowboys are not the team, and we'll fall to. But anyway, with that being said, KG, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Best move made, not including the Detroit Lions, because everybody in here is going to say Za'Darius Smith.
Yeah.
Not including the Lions, what's the move?
It's hard not to argue that D-Hop move. I mean, Patrick
the
Mahomes
move.
getting D-Hop, that's, he needs a receiver. And albeit, Juju's been good for them. Xavier Worthy's been good as well. Check my fantasy team. But overall, they needed another presence there. And you get a D-Hop, he's a veteran, that looks good. But do not sleep on that Washington Marshawn Lattimore move. Now, listen, the Lions are already established. The Chiefs are definitely already established. But for a young upstart team like the Commanders to get a Marshawn Lattimore, that move can prove, very fruitful in the playoffs for them. They will get to the playoffs. They will make some noise. And they made that defense even stronger. I think that's a slept-on move.
Here, let me throw one out there real quick so I don't have to go last because I'm about to make a quick move. Pittsburgh Steelers acquired Mike Williams. Now, on the outside, it doesn't look like much. You're like, this is a guy. You saw what he was in New York. Aaron said this. He didn't have the body language.
We got
He
Preston
didn't have
Smith from the pack, too.
100%. I think Mike Williams is a hell of a move for the Pittsburgh Steelers because he's a type of receiver that Russell likes. He's a jump ball receiver. He's a 50-50 receiver. And now you have to look at Mike Williams when you're a secondary, when you're a defensive coordinator, which allows number 14, who's finally starting to show you who he is starting to dial in a little bit. They're similar wide receivers. I think this is a really good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I think that if Russ would have taken over this team while they still had Deontay Johnson, you'd be seeing really solid numbers out of both Deontay Johnson as well as George Pickens. Without Deontay there and Russ now under center, I think before it worked when you had Justin Fields because you had to have a spy to make sure he wasn't running, and it kind of left Pickens in a spot where he could be a number one and get some good numbers and actually, affect the offense. At this point, when you've got Russ and you know that he's not mobile, you can really just kind of pack your secondary and shut down George Pickens. And at that point, they've got to beat you on the ground, which they've been able to do to the tune of, 6-2 now?
Yeah.
The difference, though, now is when you add in a guy like Mike Williams, who I have never been a big fan of, you still have to respect a big, deep threat like that. So really, whether he ends up being a guy you can start in fantasy or not, I don't think. But I think what it means for George Pickens and the rest of that offense and Russ overall, that offense is just going to get better. This is a team that hasn't missed the playoffs in 18 damn years, and they just prove over and over again that they know how to do it. But listen, if we're going to compare these moves of the Steelers, I keep comparing them to what we want the Lions to be. Bargain basement deals to fill holes on an already very good team.
I think Amari Cooper to the Bills is under the radar, big time.
Same effect. It opens up Keon
Come
Coleman
on.
and
That's
and
an
Khalil
all-pro
Shakir.
going to
It's a
a
hell of a
team
move,
that's going to
man.
win their division going away. All-pro.
I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball today, man. I feel like everybody's coming to play. I got to step mine up.
We were wrong on the Bills, but that's it. We were right on everybody else. We liked Washington, and I do love that move with Lattimore, KG. But I got to put it at a dead heat tie.
It makes it easier to say when you hear the word "we," because when I say "I," you're like, I don't want to say that.
Well, you just gave me love on the Cowgirls, so
we were
for
wrong.
sure. We'll share it together.
We were wrong on Buffalo.
But when you look at the two teams that we expect to see in the Super Bowl, you've got a team that invested heavily in their defense and lost a major piece of it. You see the Kansas City Chiefs invested heavily in their offense and they lost a major piece of it. These two teams on a collision course for the Super Bowl went and made the moves that they had to.
They do, and one of the moves that we're going to make is we're going to bring in Ryan Ermanni after we get a quick commercial break. Can't wait to see what he thinks. Let's talk about Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. With over 50 metropolitan Detroit locations, it's the gym for you because it's the gym for everybody. They feature squeaky clean gym trainers with all memberships, and then also there's no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. We want you to come in, work out at your own pace, do the things you want to do, enjoy the spa, enjoy the aqua hydro chairs, man. Do all these things at Planet Fitness because your fitness is essential, and they have fitness that fits into your budget.
And celebrate a good gym day with some tequila, man. 1800 Tequila, the official tequila Woodward Sports Lions watch parties and post-game show. Join 1800 Tequila and Woodward Sports every single Lions Sunday, live at Hayes Social in Shelby Township, and celebrate the wins. We getting a lot of those with 1800 Tequila. Proud sponsor of your and our Detroit Lions. 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila, and please drink responsibly.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and WoodwardSports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go!
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts Woodward Sports.
Hey guys, dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Well, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's $5,000 right off the top. Call Mark White and Associates today, 248-290-8242. Get them online as well, markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White and Associates, 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
You just saw the ultimate haircut experience, and you can walk into any Lady Jane's any day of the week, sit back, relax, and enjoy a $20 haircut special, which includes a scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists here at Lady Jane's. Take advantage of it for only $20. You can scan that code over there up in the corner.
There it is.
And get that coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men. Once again, they're open 7 days a week and completely open to walk-ins. They are absolutely welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Anson, you know who else enjoys a great hot leather neck massage? Well, leather is always sounds good because you.
Kool-Aid said
it's
hot
lather
leather before too.
Yes, it is lather.
It's lather, but leather because you think about when you got the blade back in the day as you do the lather neck massages. But you gotta enjoy it the most. Is
Have you
my
ever
man
had a proper barber shave?
Ryan Ermanni has, and that's when we bring him in. Ryan Ermanni joins us. What's going on?
He dropped.
And he dropped. But to answer your question, once in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
There's an old school barber shop right on State Street and Packard next to liquor store. But anyway, next to Mr. Spots, actually, you go in there, old school feel, like the barbers, it's white Italian guys. They got like the white hair. Yeah. They got the mocks. They got the mocks on. They lay you back. They got the twirling barber with the red, white, and blue. Fitting for today, and also fitting for today is Ryan Ermanni. What's up, my guy?
There he is. Election Insider.
Hey, Ryan.
Trying to get these AirPods to work.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Those look like bootleg AirPods.
We
man.
hear you.
Got the real ones?
We hear you.
You got the real ones?
My wife called me immediately as my.
As you were trying to connect?
Everything up, yeah.
That's a quick hang up. Just hang up. That's all. That's your excuse.
Can you guys
That's
hear?
what I did. I sent her straight to voicemail, and then I sent her straight to voicemail, but I don't know, the phone did something funny.
I like that car, man. It's a good look on you, man. It's a beautiful car, man. You got the glow going on your face and the outside. What's up, bro?
I had to come out and take about a 20-minute nap. I am working on fumes, man. Long night, but it's all good.
Before we jump,
how late did you stay up?
About 2:00, and I woke up at 4:30.
Woo!
Right. Before we jump into Za'Darius Smith and more of the Detroit Lions, just now that it's over, now that we have a president, number 47 is Donald Trump. Just where are you with the election and it being over with? Are you the process? How was it?
Well, regardless of what I think, I mean, it just feels like, and we were talking about this all morning long, the country has spoken. It was pretty decisive victory, and the Electoral College, and not only the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote. For a Republican to be able to win the popular vote, I think is pretty telling. And all 7 swing states look like they're going to go to Donald Trump. So, there's a lot of things to. When things like this happen, there's no one There's no one reason why it happened. I mean, it's a multitude of different reasons. We went back on the Fox show this morning. We had an Oakland University professor, Dave Dulio, on, who said he went back to look at, even the coalition that Ronald Reagan built. And it was nothing like all of the different demographics. I mean, you had, record number of Hispanic votes. You had a large number, in many areas, a record number of African-American men joining, and Jewish populations in many different states, swing states, and even in New York, very high numbers. So the country spoke, and we'll see what happens now over the next 4 years.
Yeah, 100%, and I agree with you right there. The country spoke, so let's leave it at that. The Lions spoke, and the Lions spoke by bringing Za'Darius Smith to the Detroit Lions. Za'Darius Smith now joins the team, and we talked about a couple other trade moves that have happened, whether it was DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs, Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills. Where does this trade for you? Za'Darius Smith to the Detroit Lions, 5 sacks, 26 pressures so far this season. Where does this rank at the trade deadline for you?
I think it's the absolute number one trade of the trade deadline. If it's not one, it's 2 behind DeAndre Hopkins. I think Hopkins makes the Chiefs a completely different team and gives them an added element that they did not have prior to having him. They were really in trouble. They were very thin at wide receiver. So if you want to say Hopkins is one, I'm not going to argue with you. But I think for the Lions, getting Za'Darius Smith is adding that DeAndre Hopkins type player to your defense, because you absolutely needed to make a move. You could not go against Washington in the playoffs, against St. Louis. I bet up early.
San Fran.
The LA Rams.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
in the playoffs.
Them too.
So, yeah, right. You've got to get to the quarterback, and I'm not quite sure the Lions were able to do that over the last couple of weeks without Aiden Hutchinson. And again, we keep forgetting the fact that Josh Paschal has been out as well, and I don't think you can underscore how big that injury has been for the Lions too.
How many sacks do you think he'll wind up with this year, Ryan?
Well, that's, you know what, I don't know. I don't know what that number is in the last 9 games. Could he get 5 more sacks? I think it's definitely possible. We mentioned this yesterday, Maz. Who is and what is Za'Darius Smith going to be when he's the man? We went through yesterday and named all of the great players that he played with, played alongside. They were the ones commanding the double teams. Yep. They were the ones that offensive coordinators stayed awake all week with, trying to game plan against. So what will it look like when Za'Darius Smith is that guy that offensive coordinators game plan against? Time will tell.
That's a good point, man. I never really thought about it. He is on his own island right now. There's no one there really rushing the passer right now. He is it. So who knows? Maybe the interior guys will get some sacks now. We'll find out, right?
Look, you added talent. You added a significant talent. You added a Pro Bowl talent. So he is going to make everybody around him better. He's going to make Aleem McNeil better, DJ Reader better, but they're also going to make him better as well. So we'll just see. Time is going to tell. I'm curious to see, and Braylon, you'll be able to tell me, as far as positions go, when you get traded to a new team, I would feel like defensive line would be one of the easiest positions to kind of assimilate to. Because you really don't have to learn all that many plays. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but it's just go get the quarterback, tackle the football. How difficult can it be?
No, you're right. The 2 easiest positions to, in my estimation, and kind of just what I've seen, are the running back position and the defensive end position. Especially when you're a rush in, your job is to, hey, see that guy right there, number 12? Go get that guy. And then a running back, you just follow the whole system. It's the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. So to your point, those are the ones. he'll have success early on, but I like what you said yesterday. They'll ease him into it, 15 plays here, 20 plays there, and then eventually he'll start to become the guy. Anson, you had something for Ryan.
You know, Ryan, we actually asked the chat earlier in the show. We set a number of 11.5 sacks on the over-under, and our followers are overwhelmingly at 72% thinking he will go over that. I think he's been waiting for this opportunity to be the number one guy for a long time. We mentioned earlier, I brought up, I don't think that he's replacing Hutch. I think that he's an upgrade over Marcus Davenport. Whether he can get to 11 or 12 sacks, I don't know. I love the move. I want to ask you, though, we've been tracking the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders at this point. You see the Commanders bring in a Marshawn Lattimore. You mentioned the two trades that you love. That's number 3 for me. What do you think about what the Commanders did this last week?
Well, look, I think the Commanders are what every NFL team that is bad aspires to be. They got the quarterback right. They got the coach right. And if you believe what Adam Schefter says, and there's no reason not to believe this, every upcoming free agent, every single player on the trade market went to their agents and said they wanted to be traded to the Washington Commanders. They're creating a culture there in Washington. From the coach down and the player, Jaden Daniels, he's a fun player. He's a great player. People are attracted to him. You want to be around players like that. Winning breeds winning, and they've got some winners there in Washington. I think Washington is probably a year or even 2 ahead of where they thought they would be this season. Philadelphia is intriguing to me. I don't like the coach at all. I think Sirianni is, I don't want to say a bum, but I don't think he's a championship type winning coach. When it comes down to it in January, I think he's got to find ways to beat you and not ways to help you win. But Saquon Barkley is an absolute difference maker for that team. Washington, man, I'll tell you that it's a good football team. Am I ready to put them in the Lions category? Absolutely not. But I think right now, if you ask me to rank after the trade deadline, who are the teams in the NFC? I go Lions 1, Eagles 2, Washington 3, and the Rams 3A.
Ryan, let me ask you a question. Za'Darius Smith was the last kind of piece I feel like we needed. We needed a rush in. You had to have somebody in replace of 97. Not in replace of, but more so just in the stead of why he wasn't able to be active in the rest of the season. Are you good with where the Lions are? Now that they added Za'Darius Smith, is this the piece? Are they good? Is there any worries that you have? Is there any concerns that you have about this team as currently constructed on this day, Wednesday?
There is no perfect team in the NFL, but Braylon, I'll be damned. If there is such a thing, I think you're looking at it. I think the Detroit Lions are as strong throughout as you could get in the National Football League. Both offensive and defensive line, the quarterback, the running backs, the wide receivers, the safeties, the DBs, every single asset, the kicker, the punter. I mean, when you think of teams in the NFL, is there a team you'd rather have than the Detroit Lions? Is there a team you would rank higher than the Detroit Lions? Every level of their offense, every level of their defense, they've got playmakers, they've got guys that can come in there, they've got backups that can come in and fulfill roles. I just think they're as solid as they come right now. Their biggest thing, just like every other NFL team and every sports team, is health. If they suffer a severe injury to one of their key guys, well, they're going to be in trouble. If they're healthy, they're going to win the Super Bowl. To me, it's that simple. If they are healthy, they will win the Super Bowl.
I've gotten into the point where now I'm on X reading comments about the Lions. That's the fandom now that I have, Ryan. I'm reading comments about the Lions. I'm checking out to see what's going on. One thing I saw was interesting. I think this is what Maz will love is a comment was made said, I just want to see Jake Bates miss a field goal. That way he gets it over with. Because right now Jake Bates is perfect. I don't want it to be the moment where it's the NFC Championship and we need him to make it. And this is his first mix, like Gary Anderson in '98. I was like, That's a damn good comment. That's a damn good comment.
Very good comment.
That's what I'm saying. The Chiefs, though, right? I mean, if you look at the Chiefs' schedule, Braylon. Pull that up. They've got the Bills, and then they got to run till about 14-0. If they can get past the Bills, they got to run to about 14-0. So would you say that same thing about the Buffalo Bills, or excuse me, about the Kansas City Chiefs? Would you rather see them lose a game, during the regular season? Would you rather see Jake Bates miss a kick? Would you rather see Jared Goff have more incomplete passes than touchdowns in a game?
Yeah, no, I thought it was all funny. Like, as it relates to the Chiefs, it doesn't matter what happened because they've all been there before. Harrison Butker's one of the best kickers in the league, if not the best.
True.
And then
Right
Patrick Mahomes
right.
has done it 3 out of 5 times. So it's different, Jake. But I just thought it was funny because I'm like, the fact that they're so on par with everything that the one thing you want to see happen is a missed field goal because he's perfect. It just keeps reminding you how good these Detroit Lions are at time as well.
Gary Anderson missed. The Vikings were
just an extra point.
The
Can he
Vikings
just miss an extra point?
No, it was a field goal.
He already did miss an extra point. That's right.
He was almost perfect.
I'm sorry, Jake Bates.
He was almost perfect that year, and then the Dirty Birds get in.
You know, Randy Moss is my guy, so I was watching that. And I hated the Falcons, and I'm from. Anyway, go ahead, man.
It should have been Vikings Broncos in that Super Bowl. Instead, it was Dirty Birds against
Vikings. Would whoop the Broncos.
They were rolling, man. They were putting up 40 points a game. But getting back to the Lions, man, they got a shot this week, Rye, to hit a speed bump. I'm going to say why. It's a Sunday night game. Houston's coming off a loss. They're wearing their reds. They got the red helmet. They got the red uniforms. That place is going to be going crazy. And if the Lions had to lose, if I had to pick a game for them to lose, then this would be the game that I'd say, go ahead and lose this one. I don't care.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
that's better. But I'm just guessing. If there's a game I had to pick on this schedule, lose this one.
And I think all of us in our preseason predictions had them losing at Houston.
Yes.
But Houston's not the team that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. I did think they were going to take a little bit of a step back this year, but you don't have Stephon Diggs. You don't have Nico Collins. That's a big deal. I mean, you take your from Superman to an above average quarterback. I like CJ Stroud. I'm a fan of his. But go to any quarterback in the league and take away his top 2 receivers, and that quarterback's going to struggle. And I see no reason why Houston's not going to struggle this week against the Lions. They're not going to be able to score with Detroit, in my opinion.
We'll find out. Sunday nights are usually close games, and this is a 3-point game, 3.5 if you looked at the spread today. So I'm just guessing, as a Lion fan, look, I want them to win every freaking game. You know that. I'm mad that they lost to Tampa Bay, and that was a game that Dan Campbell threw that game away, and Jared Goff had his worst game, one of his worst games as a Lions quarterback that day. Otherwise, they're going to be undefeated right there with the Chiefs.
Them Texans.
Great coaches make mistakes. I remember there was a game in 2001 or 2. It was Bill Belichick versus Tony Dungy. Bill Belichick went for it on 4th down in they were like the 17-yard line. They didn't get it to Kevin Falk. The Colts ended up scoring a touchdown, and everybody was like, what the hell is he doing? Bill Belichick's arguably the greatest coach of all time. Coaches make mistakes, but how often do you make those mistakes?
Correct.
Yeah.
I got a question for Ryan. Okay, there he is. Is he frozen a little bit? I got a question for all you guys. We got into the hot debate on Sunday. Final record for the Lions. How many games do they lose, guys?
Well, I already made this comment, and I don't want to be caught in the moment. I think Ryan and I said the same thing. So did Maz. We echoed it. It wasn't in the moment. Stick was sitting in the very seat the KG is in. Who beats them? That becomes the question. And I understand things happen, and you say, oh, well, here's a loss here just because.
Well, if we assume a Week 17 loss because we have everything wrapped up and we sit all of our starters. I believe we're playing against Minnesota in that week. So, maybe there's one. Do you see us dumping a third game anywhere?
I don't think they dumped that game.
Probably not even.
I don't think they dumped that game. You know why? Where did their head coach play? He played for the Detroit Lions. It means something to him. This division means everything to him. They're what now? 11-3, Mavs?
Yep.
In the division, that record means something. So If it would have been another dump game against lowly insert, I don't know what team in the NFC, it doesn't matter. But the Vikings, Dan Campbell cares about this division. They wouldn't lose it. I say 16-1.
16-1. What about you, Pete? No record. What about you, Maz?
I got them. Well, like I said,
16-1 first.
I say they lose one more game, and and I got a bad feeling about this weekend for some reason. Besides that, all the way.
Okay, can I get a number out of you, KG?
And guys, what are we talking about here?
Oh, there he is. We're talking about the record. What do you think their final record is?
My connection sucks, so maybe I'll leave you with this. Here, I mean, honestly, it's such a great question, Anson. I love the topic. I love the question, but we're talking about 16. What?
That's like that dial-up, man, in 98.
Well, I think I understood where he was going, and the audacity to think that we're going to be – appreciate you, Ryan Ermanni. The audacity of a fan base to just halfway through the season say, okay, well, this is the team. We're not going to have any hiccups. We're not going to have any mishaps or bad, just games where the ball doesn't seem to stay in guys' hands. For me, I think 14-3. It's just a long, grueling season. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce for you, but I still think 14-3 has no problem wrapping up the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Agreed. There's no other NFC team that's going to stick with them. Maybe Philadelphia for a bit, but they're not as good. There's no way that San Francisco is going to run off all those wins. The Rams, the NFC South, no chance there. NFC East, Washington, they're going to lose a couple of more games as well. If you lose 3 games, you lock up the number 1 spot.
Ryan, we didn't call you just so we can have court and talk around you. We'll give you the final word before we Ryan. Smart. I'm glad he took it. Glad
he's enjoying the sunshine, Braylon.
He is. Look, Ryan works a tough schedule, man. Like always, man. The guy is Iron Man. He's always going. So we appreciate you for tuning in. For a second, it was sounding a little bit like old school.
Yeah, man.
The American boy. I said, what is that noise going on?
Mitten Maid said,
there's the drop.
Mitten Maid said Ermanni with that big house Wi-Fi.
Hey. Well, it depends on where you are in the big house. I'm always in the suite, so my Wi-Fi is...
We don't get any Wi-Fi when you're sitting in the regular seats.
The real K77 said we're winning 17. I appreciate it, though, baby.
Right. You know why I don't like that? Because if we win 17 games, I mean we lost in the second round of the playoffs.
I think he was joking that we're going undefeated this season, even though we already lost a game, which we barely lost. So
I was trying to find some where within that. But I think this topic is exhausted. I think even though we just got Za'Darius Smith, I think we've exhausted. We know what he's going to be. We know what he means to the team. This was a great move by the Detroit Lions. Obviously, they reached out to Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. They did the due diligence. But they didn't have to get either one of those players.
Would have been nice, though.
It would have been nice.
Because those guys stand alone.
I'd rather pick.
Za'Darius is a hanger-oner, and these guys stay on their own. By the way,
but you got a guy that stands alone.
The Lions have given him the rest of this week off, from what I understand, because they don't have. He's not going to have a bye week because the Lions had their bye week already.
Interesting.
And so they're giving him a few days off to chill out. There's still a chance for him to play on Sunday.
So what does that tell you? You said it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, these Sunday night games are very close. Typically, it doesn't matter about how good the Detroit Lions are. You just find yourself in these spaces. But the fact that they're going to give him a couple extra days off, the fact that they're like,
they're already taking care of him.
We really don't need you this week. It just reaffirms how I feel about this currently constructed Houston Texans, man. No Nico Collins. No Stephon Diggs, and they just don't look like the team that they were last year. So I don't think he plays, and if he doesn't play, it lets you know where Dan Campbell thinks his team is, which is sneaky.
Well, and it reaffirms their faith in him as a veteran, that this guy can come in, they can give him some time off, and that he'll still assimilate immediately into this offense.
Melifonwu is back on the practice field. So is Emmanuel Mosley. So their practice window is now open. And who knows? You might see him in the next few weeks. So that's good news. So they're getting healthy.
I'm excited for that because Melifonwu, I believe, is the third best blitzing safety in the NFL. He's only behind
he was terrific on
Antoine Winfield and his own teammate, Brian Branch. I think Melifonwu was one of the best blitzers, which is going to help the Lions tremendously. Look, let's take a quick commercial break. Let's pay some bills, get this thing kind of back rolling, and we'll get into the third hour. A lot going on. We got Dan Miller here to join us. Dapper Dan will join us in 3 o'clock hour. But first, let's get a message from Dr. Jeff Pierce.
All right, we'll see Dr. Jeff tomorrow. You saw him yesterday on Big D Energy. You know it, MichiganSportsAndSpine.com. Dr. Jeff Pierce, he is our expert, sports injury expert. Dr. Jeff Pierce will keep you in the game and keep you healthy and give you those great ideas. Of course, you go to him, he'll give you that secret sauce as well. Trust the guy at DMAC and Braylon Trust. Give him a try today. MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call him 248-426-9944.
If you are up against family law issues, things like divorce, child custody, visitation, we know that stuff's scary. Catherine and Kevin at KDK Law know as well, and they've got your back to make sure you get through it. 10 plus years of experience and 24/7 availability, that's paramount. Make sure you scan that QR code you see just above my head on the screen, or give them a call at 248-971-0476. And make sure when you do that you mention that Woodward Sports sent you, and they will take care of your filing fee. KDK Law, they got your back.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and WoodwardSports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go!
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts, Woodward Sports.
Me and Anson talked about it a little bit earlier. Let's talk about it again. The signature wings are here, and they're getting after it at Soroki. Soroki's with a fan, real fan's favorite. You gotta try these new lemon pepper wings. 7 new flavors, but lemon pepper is the one you should focus on. But everybody's not like me and KG, so maybe you want the teriyaki, maybe you want the buffalo, maybe you just want the Parmesan garlic. Whatever you want, they have it, but only for a limited time. But you know what's always there is the crispy chicken and the pizza. They stay consistent in that department, and they got the fountain sodas for you. And don't sleep. Don't sleep on those honey biscuits. And then also fresh salads inside. So look, man, it's football season. Real fans, they come to Soroki.
Over 50 years of excellence. That's what Les Stanford has meant to the community here in Metro Detroit. And when you've been able to do it for over 5 decades, you expand and you offer more products to more people, and that is exactly what Les Stanford has done by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC that offers that same great service that their customers have known, once again, for over 50 years. They're on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Gentlemen, Les Stanford Chevrolet.
Together, let's drive. Let's drive right into Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions on the radio, also Fox Detroit sports analyst. Dan, glad to have you in. We've been talking about it in the offseason. We talked about it during the season. We talked about it once Aiden got hurt. The Lions had to make a move. How does it feel for you that the Lions and Brad Holmes seem to have yet again gotten it right?
Yeah, I think that was important. Look, we talked about it a lot since Aiden went down and what they would have to do to improve that pass rush. And I think when you looked at the last couple of games, didn't get a ton of pressure on Jordan Love, didn't get a lot of pressure on Mason Rudolph. And you're kind of thinking, okay, you survived those games, but as it gets tougher, it's going to get harder to survive if you can't impact the passer. So, look, there's Dan Campbell's talked about it. There's not a ton out there when it comes to pass rushers that teams are willing to trade at a price that you can find palatable. But I think they kind of threaded the needle there with a guy that has a history of getting after the passer, of being able to disrupt the pocket, isn't what he used to be, but is good enough and better than what they had to give them a shot. And if you can get Pascal back and all of a sudden you can get a Pascal in there and a Za'Darius in there, and you got Reeder and you got Aleem, and you can start subbing some other guys in, you can cobble this thing together. But I do think they had to do something, which they did.
Dan, I've had a bunch of conversations as it relates to Za'Darius Smith. A lot of people, they're like, oh, yeah, well, he's not an Aiden replacement, or how is he going to replace Aiden, or is he up to task to be the guy? And I've simply said, and I want to know where you stand on this, he doesn't have to be Aiden Hutchinson. All he has to do is, you know what? I'll let you take it. What does Za'Darius Smith have to be for this Detroit Lions team?
He has to be better than what they were yesterday before they got him. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to improve this team. You're not finding Aiden Hutchinson, and you needed to find the best guy that was available to you out there. And that's not Myles Garrett. That's not Max Crosby. That is apparently Za'Darius Smith. And I think if you looked at the guys that were dealt, he was the best one. I was reading Twitter the other day, and it's like pass rusher Baron Browning traded. And I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, he's got no sacks this year, 4.5 one year, and 5 another year. And it's like, no disrespect or anything, but that's what you're calling a pass rusher that gets traded at the trade deadline. It's not like last year where maybe there was a Sweat or somebody like that. So, look, I think the question is, are they a better team, and did they address it as best as they could? And I think the answer is yes. They did the best they could in the situation where people aren't willing to just peel one off for you. And number two, absolutely, I think they are better than they were earlier this week when they did not have Za'Darius Smith. So, you know what? Trot him out there. I think at this point he's clearly your best edge rusher. That's what you wanted. And coupled with two guys that can collapse the pocket from the inside, let's see if they can get in there and disrupt it. I don't sit here and tell you there's any guarantees that this is a cure-all, but I give you a better odds on it now than I would have on Monday before they made a deal.
Hey, Dan, I've been perusing Twitter X and looking at the Lions. Obviously, Dan Campbell spoke. Looks like they're going to give Za'Darius Smith a few days off because he hasn't had a bye week. Get him some rest. Get him acclimated to this team. A, do you think he plays on Sunday? And B, I saw Josh Pascal. God bless him. He had a non-cancerous mass in his shoulder. He had it removed. He's starting to feel better, get stronger. So we get to see him back, and that's got to be a relief to that kid as well.
Yeah, it is. And look, with what he's been through, we know his story, having beaten cancer at Kentucky, and it's he was pretty open about the fact that it was something in a cancer check that they had to go in and take care of, and hopefully he's, as you said, ready to go this week, which Coach pretty much indicated. Look, in terms of first part of your question, Maz, was
Za'Darius Smith getting a few days off, getting him acclimated. No, will he play Sunday?
Coach talking about that.
Yeah,
I think he will. Look, there's two things he needs to know how to do. You need to set the edge, and you need to get the quarterback. And maybe they limit his snaps. He's on a snap count. They only have him in there in passing situations. Whatever it is, I think he will know enough by Sunday night to be ready to go. He's a veteran in this league. He understands what he needs to do in certain defenses, and Aaron Glenn's obviously a tremendous communicator, and their defensive line coach is one that everybody loves. So, look, I think he will be ready to go in my mind. I'd be shocked if he didn't play. Obviously, he doesn't have the whole grasp of the defense by that point, but enough that you could utilize him certainly in some packages where he can come in and hopefully make an impact.
Hey, Dan, when I was younger and I was running track, my dad always told me proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I think that's what you saw out of the Detroit Lions this past Sunday. They were properly prepared. We talked about on the show, and I heard the sentiments echo from throwing with wet balls to practicing, catching, switching your gloves, cleats to 7 steps, the whole 9 yards. Just talk about Dan Campbell in terms of preparing this team. And I think taking that next step as one of the best coaches in the NFL, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But proper preparation is what made them look light years above Green Bay, in my opinion.
I think that's one of the beautiful things, Braylon, that goes across every business that anybody's in. Preparation is everything.
Yeah.
It eliminates anxiety. It gets you ready for any situation. And sometimes it takes people a while to learn that. But I think it's one of the biggest things they can do that can make you successful in any walk of life. So I very much agree with your dad. And obviously, everything that he did speaks for itself. Listen, I think if you go back to last Monday when they were turning the page from Tennessee and getting ready for Green Bay, Campbell was asked about it. He said shoes. I think everybody kind of went second. You guys, we got to have the right shoes to play on that field. And that's that's 7 days before the game.
Wow.
And I think that's the first thing that his mind went to. So he was thinking about that already, and he's right. They had to be ready to play with that thing. They had to be ready to play on that field, whether it was just grass and not rainy or rainy and nasty like it was. You had to be ready for it because it is clearly different than all but 3 games they're going to play this year, which are indoors. So, look, I think he's proven himself as one of the top coaches in this league. Still, there's a lot to be written about his success, but his ability to prepare his team, and that's mentally, physically, equipment-wise, strategy-wise, his ability to do that every single week is, I think, something that has set him apart and allowed him to find the success that he's had.
Dan, I want to piggyback on your Lambeau conditions. On the other side of the coin, from everything that I heard, I had some people that were in Lambeau, and they said by halftime they were leaving. And once again, we took over their stadium. And we're seeing that for almost a second straight year now. We're seeing prices for Lions games on the road skyrocketing. A, people are interested, but B, Michiganders travel hard, and we know that they're filling these stadiums. What does this mean? What is your experience when you're seeing these Lions fans show out all over the country? What does it mean to you as a broadcaster, and what does it mean to the Lions on the field when they start a game?
Well, I think there's a bigger picture there that I've talked about many times, and people, will come up to me and say, man, I'm so happy for you that this team is having success. And I always say, no, I'm happy for you because these fans have put so much into this team and oftentimes just gotten a gut punch back. They haven't gotten back what they've put into it. Well, now they are. And what it says to me is these are the same fans that have been there all the time. Maybe some of them kind of drifted and then came back, but they've just been waiting for something that they could sink their teeth into. This has always been a phenomenal fan base, filling Ford Field when this wasn't a good football team. Well, now, there's even more reason to engage, and they're giving them that. And I think, going back to that Kansas City game last year where we walked out in that first game of the season and were just blown away by how many Lions fans were there on a night when the Chiefs were raising their banner. So, look, nothing surprises me anymore, but I will share this. I have so many memories of being in Green Bay and seeing the Lions lose, 38-10 or 38-17 or year after year getting beaten there. And looking around at the end of the game, and none of the Packer fans had left. I mean, it was crazy. I'm like, your team is so comfortably ahead and none of you have left yet. Well, I did kind of draw the contrast this week of looking around and seeing many Packer fans had left. And suddenly, man, it was just blue. And you saw how many Lions fans were there. And you could see it during the game, even when the Packer fans were there. But it really stood out towards the end when it was clear the Lions had won, clear the Packers weren't coming back, clear it was a nasty day. And if you didn't want to be out there, you didn't have to be. You probably wanted to just take the exit. And that's what they did. So listen, it continues to happen at so many away games where these fans just travel. And man, you mentioned it's not cheap. From buying the ticket to buying a plane ticket to buying a hotel room and whatever else it takes, rent a car, meals, whatever it is, man, they're invested in this team, and it's really cool to see them getting something back from it and being able to enjoy the success.
Hey, Dan, what was your thoughts on the Brian Branch hit, the ejection, the double bird going off, 30 yards in penalties, then Kirby Joseph stepping up and breaking their backs, then they come back, get the ball in the second half, score, ball game over. I mean, this team, after Hutchinson goes down, they bury Dallas even more than they were. It just seems that they're picking each other up. Do you think – I don't even know what my question is, but I just want to know about the Brian Branch. What was your thoughts on that? Was it worthy of New York calling and saying, get this guy out of here?
Yeah, I'm going to assume you asked a couple of questions in there, Matt, so I'm going to give you a couple of answers.
That's part of the course, Dan.
I didn't understand that, and neither did TJ and neither did Lomas. And – look, we've seen it was a penalty. There's no question about it. He went helmet to helmet. That was a penalty on him.
Yes.
But none of us could remember New York calling in and ejecting somebody. And that came, we were trying to Google the rule and figure out what the heck's going on there. And then we got word that it did come from New York. And I think there's probably something what Dan Campbell said, that they're really locked in on that 425 game where they know they have a massive audience. Yep. They're trying to put, their best picture out there and
keep it close rule, Dan?
Sponsorships.
Mm-hmm. Keep it close in terms of the game.
That's the only way they can try and keep it close, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was that.
No.
I think listen, they're constantly trying to put out there that they are invested in player safety, and I think when you have a 425 window game that's drawing millions and millions of viewers, maybe they did want to put out there that we're going to be careful with hits like this. I'm just making the point that we've seen worse hits than that where guys weren't ejected. So that felt like something new to us. Yep. To your point, Maz, about this team being able to open things up, look, they're playing really opportunistic football right now. You go back to that Tennessee game, they had 5 drives of 26 yards or less, all for touchdowns, which is insane. And then add on a 90-yard touchdown return to that. They're really good offensively. They're maximizing their possessions. The defense is giving them good field position. Jack Fox is costing the other team's field position with his punting. And then when you get a pick six, that obviously tacks something on really quickly. So I think it's all adding up to some lopsided scores, just that they're really tough to stop. And if you give them an extra possession, you might force down. Guys, it's not a lot different than what we used to see here when the Lions had a terrible defense. If Stafford had an empty possession, he usually got the ball back down by 14. Because he was down by 7 when he got it. If they punted it away, chances are they gave up another touchdown, then he was down by 14. And it would snowball from there. Every mistake you made allowed the other team to extend their lead. And you kind of get the feeling that's what it is with the Lions right now. That offense is so good, so efficient, so high-powered, that if you're not scoring with them, you're going to find yourself down a couple of scores.
Great. Hey, Dan, this is just this is a statement, not a question. KG had one behind me, but I compare it to the greatest show on turf. Look, they're the most watched team in the NFL. They're the most bet on team in the NFL, but they still have a younger audience. They still have a lot of sponsors. And like you said, they've convinced that this is a safe game. We don't have those things. So Brian Branch just happened to be on the wrong team at the wrong time as it relates to we don't want to see this because we got to let you and anybody knows that comes behind you. We're not going for that. We're not going for that. So I think that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, and look, I've thought about that comparison because those teams were so good and scored so often. In full respect to them, because they won a Super Bowl, went back to another. So we'll see where the Lions go from here. But the efficiency that this offense is playing with right now is something else. And look, we'll see where it goes from here for Brian Branch. I just felt that was something that we hadn't seen a lot of, and if that's the way they're going to do it from here on out, it's kind of a different game. But bottom line is this, Brian needs to be more careful about how he's coming in there, and that's for every defensive back in this league because they're going to call the penalty. And, the double bird, you don't want to lose your cool like
Can't do that.
It's not a
Can't
great
do that.
situation, but you got to find a way to just turn and go.
I flicked off Cleveland, so trust me, I get it. Trust me, I get it. Go ahead, KG.
Hey, and then I got to bring it to this week. Lions, Texans, Sunday Night Football in Houston. And, we're looking at this game, and it looks a lot more winnable than it did maybe at the beginning of the season now that we're actually in Week 10. Houston, they're a good team, but they've been kind of inconsistent, also dealing with injuries as well. They're very talented still. They may be getting Nico Collins back. What do you think the Lions need to do in order to go into Houston and come out with a victory?
Well, find some way to pressure Stroud because he has been pressurable this year. They have gotten after him at quarterback. Yeah, they got to find some way to get after him, take advantage of that weakness on that team and find a way to impact him. Yeah, they have had some injuries at wide receiver, but, Mixon looks terrific. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Got to slow that thing down. And the Lions have been giving up some yards on the ground recently, so they got to get back to being that kind of run defense that they can be, and that's where maybe Za'Darius Smith can help you a little bit more set in the edge and they had lost some of that with some of the guys that were gone. But, it's like I was looking at it the other day. It's like I thought we'd be rid of Danielle Hunter, and now we got to play him again. And that's one of the guys that I feel like is terrorized me more than pretty much any player that the Lions have gone up against for years. So
that is a fact.
Look, and Will Anderson's a great young player. So they got their work cut out for him, but it's the same recipe. You got to go in there, play clean, don't turn it over, be very good in the red zone, don't leave any points out there, and you got to be good situationally. And when they get in the red zone, look, Lions are doing a great job of stopping teams when they get in there. They're doing a great job on third down, so you got to continue to do that. The team is good, but the recipe for the Lions doesn't change. They have a way they play football and can win. They just got to continue doing that.
There's another name for you that used to cause havoc, and that was Julius Peppers, man. And he did it for two teams in the same division. He was a monster. I hated playing against that guy.
No doubt.
Last question for us, man. We're going to let you get out of here. We know you're busy, and we appreciate your time on Wednesdays. Is Taylor Decker. Been watching the play of Taylor Decker this season. It seems to, with injury, it seems like he's having some struggles. He's having some problems with certain defensive rushes. Is this something that we're keeping an eye on that is bothering you, or is this more along the line of him being injured, him getting back healthy? Is this something that you're watching? Because I have seen it from game to game. He's causing some situations where Jared Goff is getting some extra pressure off that left side.
Yeah, I usually listen to Lomas and TJ, and they've called his name a couple times in terms of having some issues out there, and I defer to those guys because they both played the position. TJ was a guard and Lomas was a tackle. So, look, I think that offensive line is what gave them confidence in that game against Green Bay. I think that offensive line is when you walk out on that field in those conditions, you believe those five guys are going to help you win that game because they're going to be better than the five guys on the other side. And look, they were messing up snaps and having issues on their offensive line. So, yeah, there may be a couple times this year where Decker's had some issues, and maybe we're finding best rusher goes on the other side because they're not wanting to face Penei Sewell. So he may have to deal with that as well. But, look, I'll still take those five guys playing together at any point. But there's no question, Braylon, at any time that's something that you keep an eye on if you get the sense that there's been a couple. And as I said, my guys a couple times have pointed out that Taylor's had some issues, but I go back to what I saw on Sunday, and I think their running game, and I think Jared Goff felt really good about the way things went with those guys up front.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Dan.
He's one of the best to do it, and he happens to be one of the best people that I know. He is Dan Miller, Fox 2. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week. Go Lions.
Have fun, Dan.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
you.
Dan.
See you, Dan.
I always say this when he leaves the show, and I will always continue to say is he is legitimately damn good at what he does, and I always love to have him
Really
on
one of the
Wednesdays.
best.
Appreciate you, Dan. But I couldn't agree more. I think we're in this space now where we're watching Detroit Lions, and it just seems like each week there's a conversation. The Taylor Decker thing that I brought up, that had been going on. So he struggled against the Tennessee Titans. He struggled against the Minnesota Vikings. There were some struggles in there for him. But then he hit the nail on the head. That offensive line this past week in Green Bay, where you got to run the ball, so you thought when you defend, it still looked good and it still is the catalyst. They just find ways to get better and better. Even at the things that they're best at, Detroit Lions get better.
Yeah, they have that consistency, so even if he is a little banged up as a unit, they can overcome the shortcomings of one.
What did you make of the conversation? I mean, it's just it seems like we're having the consistent same conversations. KG brought up a great point. Nico Collins may come back, but Tom Maswell, here we are in week 9.
Yep.
So what?
Right.
Or week 10.
Like he said, there's
what?
You're gonna have to just outscore the Lions.
Yeah.
That's all there is
Every
to
week.
it. Just like you had to outscore the Rams.
That's right.
Good luck. We'll see you in February.
We definitely
That's
will.
all I got to tell you.
No doubt.
We will see you in February. But, Maz, we got a little time right now. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go around the NFL a little bit? There's other things going on. Why don't you keep us up to date with the NFL?
Will. I certainly will. Let's start off with the – I always like to show you this midweek, the NFL standings. I'll put those up for you. And there's a couple of surprises up there, and you can take a look at them, starting at AFC East and go on down.
Yeah, this is ugly. I mean, you look at before the season started, the AFC North was probably everybody's number one division. Cleveland made it last year. The Baltimore Ravens did it. So did Pittsburgh. Cincinnati was going to get their players back. Well, here they are. Cleveland's 2-7. Cincinnati's 4-5. AFC West. It's supposed to be what's his name? Sean Payton's second year. He's 5-4.
He's got him going good.
First year, 5-3. Obviously, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are sitting at the Jerry Rice at 8-0.
Look how many losing teams the AFC has. Miami, 2 wins. New England, 2 wins. Cleveland.
Look at the AFC East, man.
I know. It's terrible.
Can I shock you guys?
Cleveland, 2 wins. Vegas, 2 wins. Jacksonville, Tennessee. That's a bad league.
Can I shock you guys? I'm very impressed with Jim Harbaugh and what he's done with San Diego. Excuse me, LA.
He's winning with not much.
Well, that's the thing is this team didn't have much. They've got a young, interesting receiver in QJ, but they don't really have a bunch of weapons. They have a bunch of retreads. In fact, I mean, J.K. Dobbins, a guy that's been out of the league 3 different times based on injury, is having a career year. He's not asking Herbert to do too much, and they go in and they attack opponent by opponent. Meaning, hey, we'll throw the ball with you, but most likely we're going to grind the ball out. We're going to run the ball a whole bunch. I mean, I think Kansas City is going to have a little bit of a problem with them, whereas they've been able to roll them for the last few years.
Their defense not bad either.
That's the deal. If you run the ball, you take the time out of the clock, and you don't hand the rock over to a Lamar or a Pat Mahomes a bunch of times, then you put your defense out on the field, and he's got a little bit of cohesion from the guys that he brought from Michigan, both coaches and players. I didn't think they'd be a playoff team in their first season, and I could be very wrong.
I will say this. I don't think there'll be troubles for Kansas City this year, but Anson Wells next year, I think the Kansas City Chiefs has a real threat in that same division with the LA Chargers.
When he gets his own guys?
But this is why the University of Michigan fans are pissed off, and I'm not trying to take it to Michigan, but last year, Michigan had the number 1 defense in the country. The year before that, Michigan had the number 1 defense in the country. The year before that, Michigan had the 3rd defense in the country. Jesse Minter now has the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Wow.
On the Los Angeles Chargers. Michigan lost a lot when they lost that coaching staff. But to your point, it's defense, it's running the ball, you monopolizing the clock. It's a great point by you. It's ugly.
How about the strength and conditioning coach?
He's kind of winning
with Ben Herbert.
He's like winning with a college style in the NFL without his own guys.
Football is
ugly. And you give him an off season, and I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan, but Harbaugh's team is going to be tough next year.
He's a winner.
Yeah, because what happens is, and I played for Jim Harbaugh, so I can let you know, it's the corniness that you buy into. Like, just think about it like that. When people are corny that you don't know, and they come to your job, or they come to your team, or they come to wherever you're at, you're already like, man, what is this? Like, what is this? And then when you see it start working, and then when you see other members at your job, whether you work at UWM or whether you work with the Los Angeles Chargers, you're seeing players start to conform. You're seeing players start to believe. You're seeing players break it down a little harder. So now you're breaking it down a little harder, and then you blink. That's how it was with the 49ers. First time he ever said, who's got it better than us? It wasn't in Stanford. It was with the 49ers. The first time I heard that, I was like, man, this corny. Like, this stuff is cheesy. And then you look up and you're 7-1, and after every game, it's like, nobody. You buy into winning. You buy into success. Jim Harbaugh, everywhere he goes, he wins and he has success.
And he has a traveling circus with him. He's got his mom and dad. He's got John over in Baltimore. He's got his kids. Everyone is. It's really a circus.
Well, now I gotta rewind a little bit here because I was not aware that you played with Jim Harbaugh.
I played for Jim Harbaugh, not with. I ain't that old.
I was going to say, I was like, wait.
I played for Jim Harbaugh. His first year in the league was 2011, and I was in free agency.
Give us a story.
sleeping on the cot. When people talk about him being intense, sleeping on cots, not leaving the office, like Jim's like that. Like once I hurt my knee and I had to rehab, I would stay late to do rehab and just get all the rehab in that I could, watch film, be around. It's easy to fall in love with the facility. Jim was always there. Jim has a cot in there. He wakes up disheveled, takes a shower, shave, get ready in the morning, and then he goes to meetings where he goes for his run. But Jim was staying in Santa Clara. He would never leave the facility.
Jim Harbaugh earning points with this Spartan, not going to lie.
And the Chargers have one of if not the best. I know we had Hondo on the other day from Vegas.
What receiver did they pick up?
He said the Raiders had somebody. The Raiders had a great practice facility. The Chargers practice facility blows everything away in the NFL. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I played it for you a couple of months ago when football first started. It is amazing. It's called the Bolt. It's unbelievable. Here's the NFC division standings now. Thank you, Pete. And you could tell, just look at this compared to the AFC. It's no comparison. The NFC is by far the more dominant conference.
Well, even when you first look at this, you automatically see 7 teams that are over 500. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that was a quick glance.
How many 2-win teams are there? None. There's 1, 2.
And then you see 50 teams. You got Chicago's 4-4, Arizona or Los Angeles Rams 4-4. Just a competition. Each division is up for grabs in the NFC, not the AFC, with the exception of the NFC North. But if we weren't biased, it would be up for grabs if you just look at the records and what was left in the season. So much, much more parity in the NFC.
Speaking of the NFC North, Bray, I thought that it was Chicago that was going to be 7-2 right now, and
not the Commanders.
Commanders struggling to play 500 ball.
This is true.
Let's face it, they should have beat Washington. They should have. And then last week's game against Arizona might have been different. But their season ended in Washington on that tip drill. It ended.
Yeah. The Bears would be, hot take, the Bears would be 7-1 with Tyson Bagent under center. Sleep on that.
Ooh.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm serious.
Okay.
I am very serious. I've watched every single one of their games except for this last one.
Me too. Tyson Bagent is a good backup. He is.
He is, but he has the whole team.
You just don't like Caleb.
Did you see DJ? No, it's.
I know, DJ Moore ran off the field. I saw it.
It's not a matter of disliking Caleb. I am fascinated by Caleb. I did not understand the locked-in number 1 placement for him as a quarterback in this draft when I'm watching Jaden Daniels do what he did at LSU.
They made a mistake.
DJ Moore left a play in the middle of a play and walked off on the sideline. He gets hurt at the end of that game, and literally 3 players talked to him. That was it. No coaches, no nothing. Caleb Williams is probably going to have a new coach and a new offensive coordinator next year.
He will.
He's in trouble, man. And I'll tell you, Jaden Daniels has had a chip on his shoulder, and I love that ball fell into Noah Brown's hands because that legacy that he is creating and crafting is a tremendous one. They are going to be a scary out in the playoffs.
Just remember this. He had 20 seconds to throw the ball, 3 penalties right there on the offensive line. You saw the referee reaching for the flag, and he said, they're not going to get this anyway. And then you had an idiot talking to the crowd while the freaking game is going on. And then you got last week, DJ Moore leaving the field. That's a disgrace. First of all, to me, DJ Moore should be suspended by the team. Absolutely suspended. I don't care if he's the best guy on the team. He ain't playing for me. I said that about the Steeler guys. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, 2 babies last year in the playoffs. Basically quitting on their team against the Bills. And they did it in regular season, too. I have no room on my team for guys like that. I don't.
And then coaches are smart. Well, let me take that back. Some coaches are smart.
Right.
Mike Tomlinson understood what Deontay Washington was. He understood the reach that he had. He understood he was a bad influence on Carl Pickens. What did they do? They got rid of Deontay Washington. Now you bring in a leader type, a guy that understands, and Russell Wilson, a guy that understands discipline. Is going to have guys doing it differently. George Pickens looks like a different player. Sometimes it's not the player, sometimes it's not the person. It's the people that they're around.
Yeah, he's getting the ball finally, and that's what he's been waiting for since he came into the league.
When you draft somebody that high and they have that playmaking ability, like you give them the ball. I had to deal with that same BS when I was in Cleveland.
I know you did, my friend.
You draft me 3rd overall, and then you want me to wait my turn. I got to be the 3rd and 4th wide receiver. I'm ready to go now.
His dynamic ability is on the tier that you played with. And listen, when you have a guy,
he's special. I admit
he is. And when you have a guy for 3 years that you don't get the ball to, he can either go and be a great part of your team or he can be a distraction. And he's finally getting the ball, and I think he's a lot less of a distraction. Mike Williams is only going to help open that defense.
I saw George Pickens play against Michigan in the Orange Bowl, and I saw the aggression which he brought to the game. Like, he didn't just catch it in the passing game. He blocked. He punked our defensive backs. Like, that goes a long way. And now we're not hearing about him until 2 years later, with the exception of a catch here or there. Pittsburgh failed him. But then they got somebody in this year, and they're doing right by him. So sometimes it takes teams a second. Good teams, great teams, they can figure it out.
Hey, the Bears are playing
Pickens' nephew, right?
Yeah.
Bears are playing the Patriots this week. If the Bears, and they're favored by 6, Bears are home. If I'm Jared Mayo, I'm telling my team, hey, we can beat this team. They're nothing.
We can get another coach fired.
Right. They're going to get another coach freaking fired.
They got Robert Saleh fired.
That defense in Chicago is top notch. It's a top 5 defense, and they have won at least 2 games so far for that team. Yeah, that's an interesting take. Eberflus is this close.
If they lose this game, or if they have to go to overtime to win this game, they're cleaning house on Monday. No doubt about it.
I can see it.
I think New England might beat them.
Shout out to Jared Mayo. This will be another coach that he gets fired.
Drake May looking good, though.
100%.
He is.
Speaking of Skinny Butcher, it is Wednesday, which makes it a Wolverine Wednesday. Alex not with us yet, but we will get to him. Let's take a quick commercial break. Anson, I guess I got the pregame show.
We
you got the
switched it up,
postgame
baby.
show. Hey, you know what? It's all good. It's the New Holland Brewing Company pregame show every game day with Neil Rule, Sean Belizean, 2 of the best in the business. Neil Rule, shout out to my guy, Neil Rule, Sports Hall of Fame. I appreciate you, my brother. Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon, Woodward Sports, live at Second Best in Detroit. Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Tullamore Dew. Tell them all about yourself, Tullamore Dew. It is the truth. Every time they come, they win. Goes hand in hand. Neil Rule, Sean Belizean, we appreciate you. Tap into the pregame show.
Oh, yep, and Sabbath Coffee Roaster. My bad, this ain't normally my read. That's why I was thrown off. But Sabbath
Boy over
Coffee
there in the haze.
Roasters. Fuel your Lions fandom with the perfect cup and become a subscriber of Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Whether you're gearing up for a big game or savoring a quiet morning, Sabbath Coffee Roasters has you covered with fresh, locally roasted specialty coffee delivered right to your door. Head to www.sabbathcoffee.com and choose your favorite roast. Use code Woodward and get 25% off your first subscription order. Awake, unwind, and support local and enjoy game day with Sabbath Coffee Roasters.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and woodwardsports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts, Woodward Sports.
And y'all know what it is, the best merch in the merch game. Go to woodwardsports.com, click that shop tab, and we got everything that you need for game day to get fresh. Hoodies, tees, hats, everything guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today only at woodwardsports.com and click that shop tab.
It's time to make some money, so you need to go to Caesar Sportsbook, because that's the sports book of Woodward Sports, and these are where the bets are made. If I told you spend up to $1,000, and if that bet didn't hit, don't worry, you get that bet back in bonus bets. That's what Caesar wants to do for you. You got to use the promo code, and that is Woodward1000, all caps. You see, your boy Peter's been on Pete Spivak's been on a heater. He's been getting out some information here or there. You can't listen to this information. You can't use it if you don't have Caesar Sportsbook. So you got to scan that QR code right there above my head. Get Caesar Sportsbook. Then you can make the best that matter. I'm telling you, the holiday season's coming up. Easy way to make a couple extra bucks for gifts. Woodward Sports wants you to go to Caesar Sportsbook. All right.
Parlay Pete's had a good year.
He has. He has. Even with Maz over there saying he has.
Right. Hating, as always.
Yeah, but you know Maz takes him to the racetrack for a reason.
But when you've known each other as long as these guys are, you gotta break balls, as they say.
You know, I gotta tell you, the first time I did a show with Pete, these two went at each other so hard, and I'm like freaking out, and then afterwards I find out they're friends. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, you know who else we're friends with? We're friends with my man Alex.
There he
used
is.
to be intern
Alex
Now
Z.
he's just Alex. Alex Z. What's going on, my guy? What's new in Ann Arbor?
Nothing much, beautiful day outside and preparing for a big top 10 matchup against Indiana, and hopefully they can get a signature win and try to give some semblance of a successful season.
Where's your tree behind your head? What happened?
Oh, yeah, moved it out of the way, didn't like the dreadlock look necessarily, so
that wasn't your
it's sitting
look.
on the side of me right now.
Yeah, it wasn't your look, that's all.
Alex, let me ask you a question, and the question is this. You talk about saving the season, talking about the Michigan Wolverines. This absolutely could. I feel like every time they've had their backs against the wall, they found a way. They had their backs against the wall, they beat USC. They had their backs against the wall, they beat Michigan State. Now, neither one of those wins mean anything in the grand scheme of things. But Indiana, we don't know that they're for real until you know that they're for real. How much of Indiana is a facade, and how much of it do you believe Michigan actually has a really decent chance to upset Indiana, who's number 8 in the country, I do believe?
Yeah, so first off, Indiana, some people might bring up they have, I believe, the 103rd ranked strength of schedule in college football so far. However, despite playing easy teams, they've looked like a rock-solid team all the way through. They're number 2 in scoring offense and number 7 in scoring defense, while they're also top 10 in turnover margin, and they've just done a great job all season long. So I do think they still need to be challenged. They haven't played a team with Michigan's talent level yet. However, this is a great program who I think is probably going to beat Michigan this week, and it'll be super interesting to see how they do against Ohio State the week after, and if they are really for real, and if they will be able to compete in the playoffs, because if they continue playing like they have recently, I see no reason why they couldn't.
Alex, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's only seen highlights of this Indiana team. Take us in depth to who they are as a team. What makes Indiana good? Who are their players? Give us that, please.
Hey, they spotted Michigan State 10 points and then ran off 47 straight.
47, yeah. Who are their players that make this team go round?
Yeah, so this is a team that's really built through the portal, and that starts first with their quarterback at Curtis O'Rourke. He's a guy, he started at Ohio for many years in the MAC. I believe this is going to be his third career start. in college football. Max in 2 great games last night, by the way. But this will be his 43rd career start in college football, and he does a great job protecting the ball, doesn't throw picks, and has a really good completions percentage at 73%. Then he's got 2 great receivers in Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper Jr., who have combined for 9 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards, and both are very good yards after catch threats. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they have one of the best D linemen in the Big Ten in Mikhail Kamara, who has 9.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles on the year. So that's a guy that Michigan needs to watch out for and who could be a game wrecker. And then outside of that, Indiana, again, they have one of the best offense in college football, number 2 in terms of scoring offense. And it's an offense that when you watch it, especially for all Michigan fans this weekend, it's going to be kind of hard to not be envious of that, because when you watch it, it's something that really would work at Michigan. They run a ton of play action, and then off the play action, they run very quarterback-friendly concepts with half-field reads that are easy for Rourke to go through, make his progressions, and find the open man. And especially in the play action aspect, they run play action almost 50% of their plays. And Michigan, despite being a team that has prided itself on being built around the run, for some reason only runs a play action on 24% of its dropbacks. So Indiana does a great job of doing that and putting opposing defense in conflict, which is something that Michigan really needs to work on themselves.
They don't trust the guy dropping back, and I think that's your problem, Alex, right there. Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Hey, go back to last week's game against Oregon. Did you take anything good out of that game?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely are positives to come from that game. First off, I think it's still not good. I want to let the record show that. But I do think we're seeing improvements in the Michigan passing game and Warren's ability to push the ball down the field. And then, especially, for the second week in a row, we've seen Michigan get off to a slow start, but then kind of find its footing and get competitive in the game. And where there are no moral victories in college football, there's no benefit to losing at all or anything like that. It does speak to the character of the team, that there still isn't quitting in them. They're not giving up on the season entirely yet, based on the way they fought back against Oregon. Now, this week, they're going to need to start off hot, because Indiana will absolutely punish them and burn them if they don't. But if they can start off well, they've proven they can stay in the games and are willing to stay in and fight it out. So that's the biggest positive takeaway from me from last week.
Hey, Alex, and hey, I always commend your energy, bro. You always come on here positive, because this Michigan season has been draining. I don't know how you do it, man, but I got to ask you about Will Johnson, man. What is going on with Will Johnson? See, we got people like Maz, thinking that he's sitting it out to the draft. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. He has missed the last 2 games. So what is your take on the Will Johnson situation? And do the Michigan Wolverines have a chance to win this game without him?
Yeah, the Will Johnson situation is certainly a tough one to read, because there's been an emphatic no from the coaching staff about whether or not he was sitting out. However, whenever there's a question that simply is based on injuries to both him and Jair Hill, the coaching staff will say Jair Hill is trending towards maybe playing on Saturday. But with Will Johnson, the answer is always a very vague we'll see. So that doesn't instill a lot of confidence. It might be something where sitting out these games, but then we'll come back for Ohio State at the end of the year to try to help secure his Michigan legacy. But it's something that's really tough. And if Michigan has no Will Johnson this weekend, that just means Jair Hill is maybe the most important player on the team, because as we saw last week, Amir Hall played well for a former FCS second-team All-American, but against the number 1 team in the country with 2 great receivers like Oregon, that won't really hold the test of time. Then Zeke Berry was given the very tough task of transitioning from nickel to outside corner last week, and he got the information on Tuesday, and he had a very short time to transition. So Will Johnson probably won't go this weekend, but Michigan really needs Jair Hill to get back to have a true outside cornerback 1 at the Power 5 level.
Hey, Alex, it's Anson here. Always a pleasure to talk to you. One of my favorite Wolverine fans out there, and I mean that. But I want to come back to the Hoosiers and a guy named Curt Cignetti. This is a guy that's 19-1 over his last 20 games. He got onto my radar a few weeks ago at a press conference where he said, just check my record. So, I never give you any free lobs. My question is this. The Wolverines hired internally. And with the offseason and the way the season has gone, I'm not sure if Wolverine fans are considering that a mistake. A guy like Curt Cignetti that comes from James Madison, who is a relatively unknown, at this point when you're looking at the Hoosiers being 8-0, do you think that if you guys had a coach like him, that your record might be looking different, that you're transfer portal acquisitions might be looking different. And where are you guys as a program retrospectively looking at your choices coaching-wise to start this season sans Harbaugh?
Yeah, so it certainly is when you look at the tale of these two programs dealing with new first-year head coaches. And I still believe in Sherrone Moore, and I think it was the best hire for both people. For Sherrone Moore, your program coming off of 3 straight college football playoff appearances and a national championship. And Michigan still had a very good, solid core of players this year, which could be 4 first-round picks, which would be squandered on this season. And so bringing in Sherrone Moore was very good for that and keeping this upper-level, high-ceiling people going. And if you found a formula that works, you want to keep going with that to go internally. But Indiana, on the other hand, needed an entirely different perspective because nothing they've ever done has worked as a football program, just putting it pretty bluntly. So they needed a guy to come in who could totally overhaul it. And then you also just have to look at the state of the two programs where, yes, Michigan was coming off a national championship and all that, but you had all this drama surrounding it. You had the NCAA investigation. You had Harbaugh leaving and kind of clearing out the cupboards, but not entirely in terms of the coaching staff and who he brought with him. And then Sherrone Moore also to juggle dealing with a newborn and finally becoming a head coach for the first time. So while Indiana's having more success in this year alone, I think we're going to see an offseason a lot more similar to what Cignetti did at Indiana this year for Moore, where he will have more time to find some new position coaches and coordinators and also have an easier time going and being able to attack the portal now that he has more clarity and it's all up to him on what personnel he has on the team.
Can he win a national championship, Alex, with this team?
Kurt Cignetti or Sherrone Moore?
Cignetti. He's undefeated.
I mean, if they keep playing the way they can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the country. I just really worry, if I was an Indy fan, I would worry about the true depth that they have. And when it comes to actually playing the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Oregons of the world, do you have the guys who can rotate in and out every play and be able to run with them? So while this week is a big test for Indiana, next week to see how they play against Ohio State in the horseshoe will be a bigger test, because if they get blown up by 30, it will show that Indiana, while a good team, it's really a result of a weaker schedule.
Alex, in this week's press conference, I think you were there, Sherrone was asked, hey, look, you don't have a quarterback in the 2025 recruiting class. What's up? He's like, we'll be okay. What does that mean?
Bryce. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, based on that question, and I was there, and he was holding back a big grin when he said that, so it certainly makes you think that Bryce Underwood's looking good for Michigan, because there's also rumors. One of the closest people who's been recruiting him at LSU, their OC, he's an East Carolina alum, and rumors are that he's kind of secretly accepted the head coaching job there and will be leaving LSU. So if that happens, that's another big feather in Michigan's cap to pair with being closer to home and the NIL deal and the potential of being a true freshman starter. So things seem like they're trending well for Bryce Underwood, but you can never believe it in college football until they step foot on campus and are officially enrolled.
Where will you be at the end of the season? Like, I'm kind of just playing things out right now, looking at the season. We figure probably, you said Indiana and then Ohio State. It's 2 more losses in the season. Like, where will you be at the end of the season? What will this season have kind of shown you, and what will you be ready for in 2025?
Yeah, so there's no really other way to put this season than it is a disappointment when you look at the upper tier talent we have on this team.
Yeah.
To be here battling for bowl eligibility, so that is disappointing for the team. But really what I'll realize is, one, obviously the quarterback is the most positioned in all of American sports, so Michigan needs to make sure they always have health and options in that room long term. And then also I think this season, though, has kind of awoken the Michigan coaching staff and fan base to the need to evolve and adapt to modern college football. So we need to be more active with NIL in our high school recruiting. We need to be more active in the transfer portal, where you can't always bank on someone developing. Sometimes you just need to go out and get a proven talent, like we've done at kicker the past few years. So while this season's disappointing, I think Sherrone Moore is going to really get his arms around the job, and I think you're going to see him come out with a much better squad next year.
Hey, let's switch gears before we get to the college football playoff, and we got to get a break in. But I want to ask you about James Franklin losing again, this time at home, the whiteout. Penn State had their chances. 2 4th and goals. They didn't get it. I was happy that they went for it. They just could not beat that Ohio State team. What's the future of Penn State, Ohio State, and James Franklin?
The future is the
yeah,
present.
So I feel like Penn State, they very much value stability. I think part of that comes from institutionally having a coach who was there for as long as Joe Paterno was. They're kind of scared to go off in the depths of the unknown and all that. But I feel like it's kind of the time for Penn State to move on from Franklin. He's clearly shown he hasn't been able to get it going in the big games, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Last year only got 7 points against Michigan. This year only got 6 offensive points against Ohio State. You have to remember their only touchdown was from that pick 6. So he's clearly, there's something there that he might not be able to, it might be a recruiting thing, might not be able to identify the right offensive coaching staff and all that. But just starting to feel like it's never going to come together for Franklin because they're on a long drought now. It's been 8 years since they beat Ohio State in that whiteout game on the blocked field goal. And there's just some missing ingredient. And especially for Penn State, Matt Rule at Nebraska, he grew up around Penn State. He played there, and it's his dream job. So if they ever want a guy, they have a great replacement waiting in the wings who would instantly come there if they wanted to. So I really think it's time for Penn State to move on from James Franklin, as scary as it may be.
Complacency is scary because you get comfortable and sometimes you chill, and I think that's what Penn State is. They don't win national championships across the board. None of their other sports do, with the exception of volleyball. So they just are who they are. Let's get a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with Alex, and we'll wrap it up. So let's get a message from now. My man Anson, tell him about the post game.
Listen, this Sunday evening, as we take a look at our beautiful sound tech KG over there.
Shout out to man KG in the booth.
One of my
Came
favorites.
in sick,
We're in
man,
a battle
doing
right
well.
now in our
Appreciate
fantasy
you.
league. But listen,
Appreciate you.
this weekend, Sunday night, it's a huge game, and it's a night game, so it means we party. We already mentioned that the pregame show will actually be moving locations just for this Sunday, and it will be at Hayes Social in Shelby Township. It's brought to you by the New Holland Brewing Company, and it is the pregame, the watch party, and then the postgame show with that guy Stick and that guy me. Come on out. Join us before the game, during the game, after the game. It's brought to you by your local long drink taller, 1800 Tequila. Oh, and those 1800 Tequila girls will be there as well. Of course, our favorite chicken, Soroki's, and Sabbath Coffee. Come on out to Hayes Lounge, Hayes Social, Shelby. Join us for the entire game before, during, and after.
And while you watching Anson's ugly mug on the post-game show.
After I give him love.
Right. No, it's all good.
That's how he does you, man.
But you can drink some New Holland Taller, man. The Dutch long drink from New Holland Brewing Company, brewed right here in the great state of Michigan. And it's got all natural ingredients, small batch gin, real grapefruit for a fresh and delicious flavor. Taller is your local long drink.
Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and WoodwardSports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go!
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
And any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts Woodward Sports.
Hey, guys, want to know where the best pregame party is on November 17th? You got to join us at Detroit's own second best bar, very own, located at 42 Watson Street. The ultimate fan experience. Enjoy some smooth Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey while catching the Woodward Sports pregame show only at the second best bar. Come get some.
Short walk to the stadium afterwards, too.
Definitely short walk to the stadium. Alex Ziolkowski still with us. Alex, we got the early college football playoff pictures right now. The bracket that is. Pete, throw those up for me real quick, and Alex, we'll get your take on what you think.
Big show last night on ESPN. They had show. They had this thing going for a while, but there it is. It's almost like the AP Top 25. It's almost identical to the AP Top 25, but there would be your brand new playoff matchups.
When you look at it right away, Alex, like what jumps out about you? Like who's fake, who's fraudulent, and who do you believe is the real deal that people think is fraudulent?
Yeah, so the first is Alabama is kind of living on a brand legacy right there at the 11 seed. I think if they had to play Texas this year, Texas would absolutely steamroll them.
40.
And then outside of that, we're looking at some pretty interesting matchups. I mean, Notre Dame, Penn State, two programs have very similar play styles. Indiana, Tennessee would actually be an absolutely electric game because Tennessee, despite Josh Heupel being known as kind of an air raid disciple and all that, that team is one of the best defenses in college football against Indiana, who we've talked about having one of the best offenses. Then Boise against Ohio State's interesting. We know the past few years we've seen against Michigan, Ohio State's trouble against the run game and stuff. So seeing Ashton Jeanty against that Jim Knowles defense in the horseshoe would be something really fun to see, and I think all Michigan fans would be rooting super hard for them. So it's looking like a super exciting bracket matchup-wise and all that, but really on the show last night, I have to say, hey, there is something a little bit missing from the intensity aspect of the first poll rank, because you no longer have to worry about the poll inertia or if you made the initial top four, and that way you're just kind of winning and not moving down that way. So while it's going to be very cool towards the actual playoff time and all that, I have to say it doesn't feel as important this early in the season as it did.
Brigham Young.
We're not going to thank you, man.
Brigham Young sitting at a 4.
That was the one.
Oh, my God. The only game I want to see is Notre Dame, Penn State. I don't want to see any other game.
Notre Dame and BYU are the ones for me where I'm like, Because I know BYU's undefeated, and I know Notre Dame has played well lately, but, like, are they really legit?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I think BYU is legit. They had a very good win against SMU earlier in the year in a scrappy 18-15 game.
Steve Young playing for
Notre Dame. Pardon?
Nothing. I was joking.
Before your time.
And then Notre Dame at least had a very tough win.
Ty Detmer.
Had a very tough win against Texas A&M. And then they're going to play the two best service academies in Navy and Army, which they absolutely dismantled Navy. So that really helped build their resume. And I think they are a good team ultimately down the road. And I think Denver's Penn State is going to look very similar to either one of the past few Notre Dame Ohio State games or Notre Dame Penn State games. They'll ultimately end up being something like 17-13, with one coach making an absolutely questionable call within the last 2 minutes of the game. So someone would have to win that, and I think it'd be entertaining television at least.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be entertaining television, man. What you got going this weekend, man? Obviously, the game's away. It's not in Ann Arbor. Any plans this week?
Yeah, I'm heading down to Bloomington to go to the game, staying with some of my friends who go to
5.5 hour drive.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Dedicated.
Yeah, we were lucky. It's not too far. I got tickets before the season, before Indiana was good, so saving a lot of money in that regard.
Good.
And hopefully get to see Michigan pull off an upset over Indiana, which is crazy to say.
Are the Colts playing at home on Sunday? Then you could double dip if the Colts
I have
are
no
home.
clue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No.
That's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Obviously, they're going to be stoked to be hosting the Wolverines at 8-0. So I hope you have a lot of fun down there, bud.
Have fun, Alex. Thank you.
See,
thank you. Yeah.
Back in the day when we would go to Bloomington, it was all Michigan fans. It was like going Northwestern or Bloomington or Purdue or, pretty much anywhere.
Was it 88 that they lost to the Michigan State to go to the Rose Bowl?
Who, Indiana?
Yeah. 87 or 88, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Andre Rison. Maybe 87, 88.
I don't ever remember Indiana being good.
Well, that's the last time I remember them ever having a team, and they lost to State that day.
Well, look, we appreciate you guys for joining us. This is the end of the show. Thank you for joining Ermanni and Edwards.
Wait 1 second.
There you go.
Pistons. Gotta watch them tonight. I know the chat asked for a little bit of Pistons. We didn't get a chance to get to it, but after they win their third straight tonight, I promise you these guys are going to have something to say about our Detroit Pistons tomorrow.
They play at Charlotte tonight.
That'll be a win. It's all about professionalism. Professionalism is what the Alaskan assassin Trajan Langdon seems to have brought to Detroit Pistons. So we appreciate that. Tune in. I'm gonna tune in as well.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited.
I hope so. They put it on the Lakers, man.
Yeah, they did.
It was a great game.
Yep.
Hey, Pete, I hope you feel better.
Thanks. Pete, we appreciate you as well as
Pete wants us happy.
All right, show's over. We love you guys. See you tomorrow.